has been a good partner, not only a good partner, but a committed scientist of the world. If I have to give any kind of epithet, I would say that they are the best committed scientists of the world for creation of better human values. I have my great friend and from whom I draw a lot of inspiration, Dr. Mai and Dr. Kranti. Dr. Mai has been a remarkable person, and many of you may not be knowing that today's World Research Organization, even the World Research Organization event which is going to take place in Brazil, he is one of the chief organizer, and he was responsible for a very, very thorough and very purposeful WCRC 5 in India, which has created a great imprint not only in India but all over the world, with a view that we have created an international research organization, World Research Organization, where we are all founders. They have included me also, and that's why very, very thankful to Dr. Mai. And Dr. Kranti has been a world acclaimed, world recognized research. He is with us, and we are very proud of Dr. Kranti and the number of alternatives that Dr. Mai said. Both of them will be giving lot of alternatives, and one of the alternatives that we have started, as Patodia ji has done the initiative, and that is the high density planting. High density planting is what has been started, and it has also been giving a good result, and that is what we would like to start in Maharashtra. And as I understand, Patodia ji is also keen for drip irrigation. Am I right, sir? Drip irrigation. He is very keen, and we will all friends sit together to find out. Today, I am also very happy about the younger generations, especially the pool effect. The pool effect that younger generation has given is noteworthy, and I highly commend both the youngsters, Prashant Bhai as well as Rajiv ji. Both the youngsters are dynamic. I know they will make the things happen. They will not only watch the things happen, but they will make the things happen, and therefore I consider today's congregation very, 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 very useful. Today I would like to mention one thing, and one great personality who is with us is Mr. Lal. Mr. Lal started the missionary approach to cotton, and way back when in 1994, I suppose, Lal sir, 94, no? When we went to Vajpayee ji, and at the technology mission which was started, only the credit goes to him. Being a government officer also, what he did, he went from table to table and saw the technology mission get started, and all the people are united, and the value chain concept was started then because it was with 4 missionary missions. So four sub-missions where the value chain point was kept in view, and he is with us. I am more than happy that Lal Sahib is with us. His guidance would be invaluable, very valuable, and we can have a lot of things where we can draw the guidance from him, and therefore, sir, we are very thankful, and on behalf of everybody, we feel grateful too. Further, today I would like to remember my friend Chandubhai Thakkar, whose son has come here. Chandubhai Thakkar started the Farmers' Revolution years back, 15 years back, and that Farmers' Revolution, he collected 35,000 farmers in state of Gujarat, and that is where the revolution started. And let me tell you, Patodia ji started taking interest since then. Am I right, sir? So, with all the friends, I have many friends here. Most of the people I know. Tamane ji is here, a great committed missionary, and sir, we are there with you, with the government of Maharashtra, we all together, and let us together, as the clarion call of Dr. Mai, the great scientist, is there, let us get together and get this moving and get going. Thank you very much. Thank you.
Thank you, Mr. Kotak. We know what a historian he is, an expert in this area for more than 60 years now. How well he could actually guide us and enlighten us at how the history of India has moved in terms of cotton. He knows how much is the importance of production and quality, and how these two areas are going to play a crucial role in the coming time. We'll need your guidance and your hand-holding for this project to be successful, sir. Now, it's my turn to share some ideas about this project with you. I'll give you a brief background about it. I am part of Executive Committee member of Confederation of Indian Textile Industry, which is the apex body of textiles, CITI. Under that, we keep meeting every quarter. As Pathodia ji has already highlighted, that during these meetings, he has kept, or we have discussed about the success of this project in the region of Rajasthan. Being a member there, I was always keen to know how this kind of success can be replicated in this region of Vidarbha. And we all know how this region is being pushed forward in terms of textile. Today, already everybody is aware about the textile park which was declared in the region of Amravati. But many more textile parks have already been announced. There are several in the last meeting at Amravati, CM himself has declared another 7 textile parks in the region of Maharashtra. 7 textile parks. Other than that, we ourselves have been given 1 textile park in a public-private partnership mode. So there are several projects of textiles which are coming up in this region. Other than that, this region, the problem in this region, because we are, as a company, we are quite unique. We are one big industry having even ginning as our front end. Hardly we see otherwise textile mills who are into spinning, weaving, having their own ginning operation. Generally, people prefer to buy bales directly, but we are the ones where we started with ginning, and not today, but it's more than 80-85 years that we have been doing ginning. So from our experience of ginning, I can tell you, today the condition in the field is such that there is too much of shortage of water. With such a paucity of water, the option left with the farmer today is only cotton. We have been discussing so many times, every time we speak that there is a scarcity of rain, there is not much yield happening for them, not much remuneration coming out of cotton, but year on year we keep on seeing that farmer finally ends up sowing cotton. Why is that? That is because of the soil condition. They are not left with too many options. Some creative people try to go towards other products like soya bean or say rice, even mirchi or urad, dal and all these things. But hardly we see a major shift happening. So ultimately we have to understand that this region farmer will use cotton as their main cash crop. After having understood this main thing, so it's the responsibility of all the stakeholders of the region, starting from the companies which manufacture seed, which is for us today, we have Bayer, from the people who are involved with guiding these farmers on a regular basis, which is CICR and Government of Maharashtra Agriculture Department, the stakeholders like us, ginners and textile consumers who actually end up buying this product, those also have been invited to be part of this collaborative project here. As Pathodia ji already highlighted, that this is one project which probably didn't happen in Rajasthan but is happening here, where the artiyas and the ginners are we are trying to get involved them, so that the idea, the concept goes down to the bottom, so that the knowledge is spread all across the region, so that it doesn't become a pilot project or only a model project where only the benefit goes on to few. And our objective is to make sure it spreads across the region. And for that, the role of the ginners, who are the direct first interface, who have a direct first interface with the farmer, and the artiyas and the other agents involved in the cotton trade, have to be updated about what is going to happen in this project. In the coming some 3-4 presentations later, we will have Mr. Ghorpade highlighting how exactly the project will be conducted, so that you understand how you can yourself collaborate and be a part of this project. You can play a very significant role by even understanding the concepts and trying to share this knowledge with your own contacts of farmers. Or you can refer some farmers who would be interested to participate in this pilot project. Or you can highlight those farmers who are having very low productivity so that they can be taken up on a first note and they can be a good starting point to start this project. So there are several key areas where we all need to collaborate. Most importantly, we have to understand today any industry has to be a win-win situation for all the value chain. For textiles, starting from farmers to the end consumer, we have to add value at every level of segment. Today, if textile mills have to do well, they have to have the right source of raw material in terms of right quantity also. And if that is not going to happen, we will end up paying additional cost and being uncompetitive across the world. So, to create that win-win situation, Maharashtra Mofussil Mill has taken this initiative where they have understood that the main cotton comes within Maharashtra from the region of Vidarbha. And being the chairman, Rajiv, on my first instant call, he agreed to whatever proposal, whatever help can be given from the association side, he extended it. And I really would like to be grateful for his help to this project in terms of their having their own stake in terms of cotton will also assist us in this mission. As Kotak ji has already highlighted and Patodia ji has himself said that this is going to be like a mission which is going to change the face of the country. We all know textiles is one area where India can have a significant role to play, considering its strength in terms of raw material, shortage, availability of labor, reasonable and most importantly fertile land. So keeping this in view, I wish success to all the stakeholders and would like to commit my commitment to this project in wholehearted way. Thank you very much. Now I request Mr. Anjane to share his view and how his contribution would play a role in this project.
Good afternoon, and I'm very happy to be here first of all, because it was a short notice for me to know about this project and my entire team was already working on it. In fact, 1 week back I was traveling in this belt only to see what is happening in the cotton growing areas. And I was really surprised to see that all the big dignitaries are here and the kind of clarity they have for the Maharashtra cotton productivity. So with respect and all the dignitaries on the stage, I would like to thank for them the kind of words they have used for buyer, especially Mr. Kotak. Our mission for company is called the Science for Better Life, and I am really thankful to you the way you explain it. In fact, any one of us would have not taken that much of clarity and to explain what is Science for Better Life. Dr. Mai, I attended one of his meeting and 5 years back when there was a project in Hinganghat as well, and we are also closely associated with the CICR activities and even the industry as per se. If you see, we are keenly interested to participate in this kind of project. Being a head of this particular region, like say for example, I am responsible for the Maharashtra, Gujarat and Madhya Pradesh business areas, and this kind of project are always good to see that the farmers' productivity is really going up. As a buyer, we have more than 350 territory headquarters all over India, and if you take in Maharashtra also, we have around more than 6 regions. We have a regional team here. We also have the field officers concept, which is very closely associated with the farming community, and I am 100% sure that the role what is expected out of buyer here would be fulfilled. We also have different models and the schedules which we have created for the cotton farming, and I am sure the entire team of cotton project here, Sushil Desai, I think Dr. Tanvir is not able to attend because of some personal problems. So I take responsibility and commit you, all of you here who are involved in this project, that buyer's role would be the main role, wherever role and responsibility is given to our team, we'll see that we fulfill it. And finally, the objective of what the people on the stage has been set, that the productivity of all India and the productivity of Vidarbha, how do we really reach there? Bayer would be always ahead of that. Thank you very much for inviting me here, and thanks all.
Thank you, Mr. Anjane. We all know what's the importance of research, and this Bayer is a company which has done that research and has been doing it for year and year together. We have a lot of expectations from them, because as has already been pointed out by Mr. Mahi, industry looks forward to the scientists, and scientists look forward to the research or research organizations like Bayer to actually take up these causes further and ensure that maximum productivity increase can happen from the seed. So they will have a very important role to play, and we have high hopes from them. Let me also acknowledge their contribution to this project. About, any project, no project can move without the fund contribution, and I can assure here that at about 50% contribution, 60% contribution to this whole project is coming from the Bayer side. So I would like to give you a round of applause for them for being so serious about this project and taking up this cause. Thank you, Mr. Anjane. Now I request our Nagpur's son, Dr. Kranti, on Wardha Road, who is residing on Wardha Road, and to lead this project, because it is going to be his initiative and his baby, where he will have to ensure that this project reaches its end. Dr. Kranti.
My Guruji, Dr. C.D. Mahi, who is on stage, and a cotton guru, as today he was referred to, Mr. Suresh Bhai Kotak, all the other dignitaries. I must tell you, friends, this galaxy here who are sitting, these are not ordinary people, I'm sure all of you know, and I'm immensely proud to share the dais with them. Shri Patodia ji, Shri Rajiv Patodia ji, and in fact, like Shri M. Bilal ji, Dr. Satish Ajane ji, Mr. Prashant, who very fondly called me the son of Nagpur. Thank you so much for calling me so. Friends, in fact, just a few minutes ago, before the session started, Mr. Patodia ji was talking to me, and he was also trying to recollect. He said, if you remember, just a couple of years ago we were discussing if we can actually take the yields from this 500 kg per hectare to double it up to 1000. And he said it is possible. I was very glad to hear that. It is this confidence of a young man sitting there who thinks it is possible. When I would say that, people would find these are ideas, there are so many, but there is a world of experience, and when it comes from them, it matters. It does matter. This whole team here have arrived in with us. So thank you so much. It is said that like if the mountain cannot go to Muhammad, Muhammad certainly will come to the mountain. And they are here. I'm sure with this level of commitment, there's everyone here. State Department, in fact, Dr. Gavte ji, who is very closely associated with us in all the ventures, entire team. So it's the state government, the industry, the researchers, and people who can be classified as the Bhishma Pitamahas of so many things. Now the basic question is it just about the quantity? It's fine, well, if presuming that if all of us together hit it right, and if we double the yields, is that all? Will that really solve the problem? The more you think on it, the more troublesome it looks. Why am I saying this? First of all, it's not just the quantity, it's also the quality. And India has been struggling with quality for a long time. Of course, these hybrids came, looks a bit comfortable, but still there are far many questions than answers inbuilt into them. quality is a major constraint. Why is it? I must explain. I can't get such a beautiful audience again, so I will explain, whether you like it or not. What is this quality issue? What is this quantity issue? The other major thing is, what all of you must know is, just over these past 10 years, the changes in India in cotton have happened like nothing ever before in the history of cotton in the world. You must believe this. In India, these changes have happened. What kind of changes, for example? But still, despite these changes, we are surviving. Beyond this, there can be problems. So what are these changes? One change, all the figures that I am going to speak to you now are from the Ministry of Agriculture, Government of India, placed on their website. And I was going through and through again, almost for 2 months, almost every figure, because it makes a lot of sense for the future. Now, what are these figures? One figure is, in the year 2002, the expenditure, the cost of cultivation in India in cotton, it was something like 15,951 rupees, or very close, may not be dot to the rupee, but it's something like 15,900 rupees per hectare was the cost of cultivation in 2002. I'm simply taking 2002 as the year because that's where all these changes have started. 2011, it was 77,000 rupees per hectare. Now you can imagine 5 times the cost of production. Even if I would presume, if I would take the constant prices, as an economist, if I would change it, even then it goes to about 2.5 to 3 times. Cost of cultivation is very important. So presuming even if we get this 1000 kg or maybe 2000 kilograms of lint per hectare, cost of cultivation would be important. But then I said we are still surviving. If the Indian farmer on an average nationally, if he is spending something like 77,000, of course it fell slightly the next year, and right now it is hovering around 65 to 70,000 per hectare. Per hectare is the cost. But something also happened at the market front. If that wouldn't have happened, life would have been very different for the industry as well as for the farmer. What happened? China started a program known as the National Stock Policy. It's called National Reserve Stock Policy. And this started happening just around 2007, 2008 onwards, their peak. And the prices virtually doubled. If anything, you can say, like from something like 2,400, if India's prices touched in some market yards at 6,000, 6,000 plus by 2011 March, made a huge difference. If that wouldn't have happened, there would have been a huge crisis. And it continued. It continued quite reasonably well. But last year, suddenly there is a slump. Obviously, guided by China again. China can do anything. So we are all looking towards China. China, rescue my farmer. China, now what will happen to my industry? China, now what will... Is that the way how we are supposed to live? It's a big question. But believe me, if this cost of cultivation continues, and if that market price continues, it makes no sense even if you are able to produce 1,000 kg per hectare. With 500 it is nothing, forget it. But we are still continuing in 500 because that's the yield for the past 9 years now, 10 years. Irrespective, at a point when people think it is BT cotton. BT cotton is a brilliant technology, nobody's, but then it's not for yield. The world over things are happening. This cost of cultivation did not change globally. In the US, it didn't happen. In India, something else also happened. These are all figures again from the ministry. You can actually download them. Go to Google, Ministry of Agriculture. There is something called, it's a Department of Statistics, DES, Department of Economics and Statistics. If you type, it will take you there. Take a look at it. What else did happen is a mystery and a concern. What happened was, Indian farmer was using about 73 kilograms fertilizers per hectare on an average on cotton in 2002. Now, how much should that have increased? 73 can become 140, okay, double? No, 3.6 times. I'm only talking until 2011 because the ministry wrote. I do have the statistics after that, but by 2011, 3.6 times to 267 kilogram fertilizers per hectare. Something else also was guided by this policy. What happened was the government has a statutory price policy I'm sorry, it's called the statutory price protection on urea and urea alone. Right now they've changed it slightly. So the crop needs NPK, nitrogen, phosphorus and potash. But because urea was the cheapest, the government was protecting those prices, and those prices didn't increase beyond 17-18%. Phosphorus and potash increased more than 300%. Urea did not. So farmers were using excessive urea. So what am I talking about? From 73 kilograms, you take it to 267 kilograms, national average. When you use so much of urea, the crop grows more, green leaves. Do you need leaves? Are we going to eat them? It's a cotton crop, not palak, but green leaves. Farmers are happy, not knowing what's happening in their fields. The more fertilizer, why are they using so much of fertilizers? The reason also is simple. Market price is good, so you try and put in there. That's why it exceeded. But the crop becomes highly susceptible to other insect pests. So, ajao, it's like that. And the more insect pests come in, because this crop is full of urea, green, insect pests come, you'll have to put in insecticides. 2002, the figure was 1,043 rupees per hectare for insecticides on an average. These are again the government figures. By 2011, that became 2,947 rupees. How many times? Almost 3 times. So, on one hand, it's the fertilizer increase, insecticide increase, cost of production increase, and you have actually made the system very vulnerable. At this point of time, what is to be done? I'm telling you, my feeling is that even if this season is successful, all of us are going to be tense at the end of it, because our main claim, the farmer, is going to be tense. Something needs to be done. Something has to change. Many people tell me when, in several fora, when I speak, that take a look at Brazil. In fact, today there were references. Take a look at Mexico. Take a look at China. Take a look at Australia. Why am I listing out these countries? Uzbekistan, USA, because all of them produce more than 1,000 kilograms lint per hectare. And here it is, of course, 250 in weather. Australia, sir, it is not 2,200. It was 2,351 last year. And rain-fed conditions, Brazil also. When we are comparing countries, please remember, they say, is the weather of India like those countries? I'd say it's a bad question. No weather of any country is suited for a crop. You suit your crop to that weather. Brazil, for instance, the kind of rainfall that they have is awful for cotton. You cannot cultivate cotton in that country, because their rainfall gets to 2,200, 2,400 millimeter. Can you grow cotton? It is, you just can't do it. But they did it. There are places, there are countries. It is, see, a country like Uzbekistan, a country like Russia, China, the northern part of China, it's under snow. Are these the places for cotton, which is a dry crop, basically? Even in the US, it's like that. Friends, it is never, don't look at the weather. The moment you look at the weather, you lose. Look at science that can tailor-make it to the weather. So therefore, the question is, irrespective of the soil, irrespective of the weather, can science win? Can we do it? But it's the belief. An idea can change your life. Not my slogan. Somebody said, just out of context, somebody said that there was a book, I believe, which sold like hotcakes. An idea can change your life. It says an idea can change your wife. Anyway, jokes apart. But it's ideas that can build the story forward. What can we do? If we follow the same, people are talking about drip. I oppose it. Drip for cotton, I stand before you. My point is simple. Australia didn't use drip. Did Australia use drip to get 2,351 kg? Did Brazil use drip? Did USA use drip? Which country used drip to get to the... What are we talking about? Plastics and water and investment, more and more investment in a dryland region like this? Forget about it. If you are wanting to use drip, please do it. But that is to show a trailer which cannot be made into a full-fledged film. You might show. I can also succeed. I can give Kaju Badam Pista to my cotton crop and show to all of you, take a look at this, how brilliant the crop is. But cheating. Because 60% of the area, what is it? Those kind of soils, the kind of inputs that they can give. So what is it that I am driving at? What do we have to do? The answers, funnily, came about. There was a research paper that was published on the 1st of June in